Mental Floss listed 100 pieces of advice from 100-year-olds. It was written by Deanna Curley back in August 2015. The question, what's the secret to a long and healthy life? Well, she listed some of these. The oldest woman at the time, 116-year-old Brooklynite Susanna Musha Jones, attributed her longevity to a daily dose of 4 strips of bacon. For 110-year-old Agnes Fenton, 3 cans of Miller High Life a day and a shot of good booze at 5. I do not recommend that. Some more. Don't look at the calendar, just keep celebrating every day. These are from different kinds of people. For a doctor, a 100-year-old doctor, exercise to me, he said, is totally unnecessary. I think it's mostly overrated. The use of vitamins, forget it. And I don't encourage going to a lot of doctors either. Travel while you're young, one said, and able. Don't worry about the money, just make it work. Experience is far more valuable than money ever will be. Keep going, never give up. Another, love people, find something to like about the person. It's there because we're all just people. Here's another, don't be crazy about amassing material things. Remember, you don't know when the number is up and you can't take it with you to the next place. True. About this, don't get hurt. And here, keep an open mind. Things seem less strange. And this, always listen to the other person. You'll learn something. I like this. Take naps every day. Sleep well. Try not to worry and enjoy good dreams. Be lovable. I've lived a long life because there are so many people who love me. Another one. Laughter keeps you healthy. You can survive by seeing the humor in everything. Take one day at a time, go along with the tide, and then I saved what I think is the best to last. Try not to eat anything that's healthy. It's true. I eat whatever I want. The secret to longevity is ice cream. And one more, and pay attention to this one, don't die too early. David, king of Israel, is not going to reach 100. But he's learning some valuable lessons along the way. He is in the winter season of his life. The young shepherd boy has grown up and gotten old. This fugitive that was on the run is now resting. The poet of the people has stilled his pen. The brave warrior laid down his sword, and the great king is about to give up his crown. He reigned from 1055 to 1015 BC, and it's not just now near the end of his reign, but the end of his life. And it's kind of sad to get to the point in history when you're talking about the death of a person. This man after God's own heart, even the best story of the best man ends in death nearly every single time. So we're not ready for the last chapter yet, but it's around the corner. Still a few more lessons to learn, a few more scriptures to read. In the final chapters of 2 Samuel, there are some praises given, some men listed, and some stories told. And one story is especially interesting, I think. Before the mighty men under David are listed in chapter 23, 3 of them are singled out and named. Here are the best of the best: Josheb, Bashabeth, Eleazar, and Shammah. Now, a little later, Abishai is suggested as even better than those 3. But for now, here are the 3, and here's why they were that great. Here's the proof. Verse 13, listen to this. During harvest time, 3 of the 30 chief warriors came down to David at the cave of Adullam, while a band of Philistines was encamped in the valley of Rephaim. At that time, David was in the stronghold, and the Philistine garrison was at Bethlehem. And David longed for water and said, "Oh, that someone would give me a drink of water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem." So the 3 mighty warriors broke through the Philistine lines, drew water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem, and carried it back to David. But he refused to drink it. Instead, he poured it out before the Lord. "Far be it from me, Lord, to do this," he said. "Is it not the blood of men who went at the risk of their lives?" And David wouldn't drink it, and so were the exploits of the 3 mighty warriors. This story is set in the past when a somewhat younger David is at the stronghold, but danger is all around him. Right now, right about now, he's thirsty, as you might think is normal. But not just longing for a drink, but that drink from that well near that city, my hometown. He longs for the cold water from that deep well, saying, "Boy, I wish I could drink that." maybe just wishful thinking, mumbling to himself out loud, figuring nobody's listening. Maybe he's stronger than that. But that old familiar taste from long ago on a long, disastrous, dangerous day, don't know when he said it, why he said it, what he was thinking when he said it. But those three men picked up on it and risked their lives, put their necks on the line to go get it, broke through the Philistine line, made it there and back, handed him the water, and he refused it. It may seem a little odd to us. Instead of drinking it or giving it to them or saving it for later, he poured it out. Just poured it out and praised God with it, praying to God. Is not this the blood of men who went at risk of their own lives? He's recognizing their bravery and their devotion to him, but he can't take it. I can't take it. I won't do this. Pours it out. And in our Western thinking, maybe we're thinking, that's odd. I mean, why would he do that? But he can't drink it. Honored that they would have done it. Loves them tremendously. And what a great leader to value them as much as himself. And you got to love their intention. But if they died, I mean, he would have been crushed, I think. But they wouldn't have minded. If they died, so be it. All for the king. All for the king. And oh, that we had that much devotion for our king. Wouldn't it be great if we thought that? Wouldn't it be something if we said that, believed that, and lived that? We would do anything for you, Lord. Anything. What if this week were characterized by that kind of living? No matter the cost, no matter the sacrifice, no matter what happened to us, it does not matter as long as He is given the offering, the sacrifice, the honor. What if our worship today reflected that? What if the money we already gave reflected that? What if our next thoughts and actions and lives this week reflected that? Anything for you, Lord, anything for you. Do something bold? Done. Do something requiring bravery? Done. Do something from my heart to your ears, even if it's hard and difficult? Done. Anything for you, Lord. David wanted just one thing in the moment, a simple drink of water, and once he got the drink, he couldn't look at the guys, I guess, for the water. So he poured the water, looking at the guys, thinking, wow. At some point, he figured he didn't need the water as much as he thought. I have said this before, so you may have heard me say it, but I have clear memories as a boy sitting around in our family circle near the Christmas tree, ready to open my gifts. The ones I longed for all year long, the ones I hoped were in the package. I wanted it, I needed it, so I thought, and I opened it and loved it, usually. And I got so many things. I figured I was better off having received them, but now looking back, I remember clearly my grandparents sitting there when they were alive, not caring at all what was under the tree for some weird reason. They would get a gift and they would smile, they would open it and they would smile again, and that seemed to be it. Some chocolates, some peanut brittle, some circus peanuts, and they would enjoy it. But something else was bigger to them. They didn't react as I reacted. And as they passed on, I watched my parents do the same thing, enjoying the moment, the time, the people, not necessarily the gifts. I learned by watching all of them, they got older and didn't need what they used to need, I figure. And I figure I am now becoming older too, changing in my ways. I look around now, around the Christmas tree, and see who's seated there. And that matters more than the gift in the moment. I have in some ways everything I need. And I hope you find that too. To be richly blessed, not with what you have in your hand, but what you have and what you are. And I hope you come to see the truth that people matter more than things. Relationships are more valuable than stuff. Who I know and what you have is more to us than a drink or a meal or $1 million. And if you're young, you may think, I'm crazy for saying it, but I hope you learn the lesson too when you get older. There's another story in the final days of David's life that's also interesting and may point to a similar lesson. Even if you know a lot of the stories of David, I would be curious how many of you know this story. I would just describe it as bizarre. It happens in the very first verses of 1 Kings, and it says this: when King David was very old, he could not keep warm even when they put covers or clothes over him. So his attendants said to him, "Let's look for a young virgin to serve the king and take care of him. She can lie beside him so that our lord the king may keep warm." So they searched throughout Israel for a beautiful young woman and found Abishag, the Shunammite, and brought her to the king. The woman was very beautiful, and she took care of the king and waited on him. But the king, in the old King James, knew her not, or had no sexual relations. Nice that we didn't send the kids off to Little Lambs today. Once again, if you've seen David's past, if you know his story, then this might make you say, interesting. At one time, knowing David, as you have in this study, you know he needed a wife, wanted a wife, took a wife, and another, and another, and another. He added to his wives some concubines, as I guess great kings did back then. And he must have had a sexual appetite, because one time he took one that was neither a husband or a wife or a concubine. She was the wife of another. And there is nothing I could say that would justify any reason behind any of those. They're all shallow and ungodly in my mind. But still I read this and I say, Maybe back then he figured he needed companionship, sexual relationship, authority and power. Maybe more mothers for more children, which gave him more respect and more heirs. I don't know what he needed back then, but looks like what he needs now is nothing like that. Those who attend to him know the truth. What he needs now is simple, very simple. Heat and warmth and comfort. An old king in a poorly circulating old body lying in a cold palace during the cool season. He can't get warm. He can't stay warm. As people get older, their blood is thinner, their circulation is slower, their skin can't hold the warmth, and he is old and he is cold, and those two are going together again. And those who cared for him piled on the clothes or the blankets. They piled them on, but they didn't do the trick. And there is a real danger for an old man in a stone-cold castle with hypothermia, or worse yet, pneumonia. So surely they tried other things. Maybe they tried better things, but none of them worked. So his physicians or attendants came up with this novel idea. How about we search for a young virgin girl to lie with him and keep him warm? And I say, what? Really? What about his wife, or his wives, or his concubines that he has used in the past? Why didn't one of them step into this role as a bed warmer? It's odd, right? Some have pointed to the belief at the time that a king's virility influenced the land's productivity, and so even a younger woman full of reproductive potential could have signaled good days for the kingdom ahead. And I still go, okay. They search and find a beautiful young woman, a virgin, Abishag, a Shunammite. Some scholars suggest by the language and pointing to cultural expectations that she might have been as young as 12 and a half. So if David is 70 years old or so, and she's 12 and a half, it makes you go, really? Really? I know David's past. I know what he has looked for before. It seems she is meeting his needs. Maybe more like a maid, an attendant, a nurse, an aide. The old King James says he knew her not, and so we figure even from the NIV, she had no sex with him. Still odd. Maybe culturally understandable for the time, but hard for us, right? Maybe I'll just leave it with you there, and you can talk about it in your life group, and you figure it out. But to pull the two stories together, don't you see how the king's needs have changed over time? He needs water, wants water from that well more than anything else, and when he gets it, he doesn't even drink it. And in the past, he longed for and lusted for and desperately needed and took women. Now, warmth, a warm body, a companion who tenderly cares for him, a beautiful heating blanket, maybe nothing more than that. But it's just sad, isn't it, to watch David come to this, the old and frail one, can't fight an army, can't really lead a kingdom, can't even get warm. And the language may suggest he's losing more than his ability to stay warm, maybe his ability to think. Perhaps his body and his mind are failing him. Some commentators use the word senile. And death is around the corner, and very quickly some people will step in to help him make some decisions for the future kingdom. So he's not in a great place, and it's just sad to read. Well, to bring it to us, if you don't know this, when you get older, things change. And some of you could say, yes, they do. Your own body fails you. And some things, it's kind of a mixed bag. Some things become better and some things become worse. Scott Lafee in 2015 wrote an article for UC San Diego Health. And he said as you age, you sweat less. That's good. But you're less buff and muscular. That's not good. Your teeth are less sensitive. That's good. Certain parts of your brain shrink. That's not good. You catch fewer colds and get fewer migraines. That's good, but you lose some taste and some hearing. I know that. That's not good. And one of the best parts, you do tend to get happier with age. That's really good. We age, and it's not just our bodies that change, but our needs change too. And while that may be bad news in some respect, the reality is they should change. There was a time when a train or a doll was the greatest desire of a young child. And those change and become a boyfriend or a place on the team or a cell phone or a car for a teenager. And sometime during those maybe college years, they start thinking of graduation and a first good job and a decent salary. And at some point, the highest priority for a young man or young woman in their prime is a nice wedding or a nice house or a nice family or a nice nest egg. But we get older and some of the nice things lose their shine. They don't even matter anymore. The big and new and expensive things don't satisfy anymore. The treasures we used to treasure are trash. And the things we maybe hardly paid attention to for us in those old days become treasures. There's nothing wrong with longing for good days ahead and for young people hoping that their dreams come true. But things should always be replaced by the one that matters most. So things should change as you get older. Maturity should bring a reordering of your priorities and a relabeling of your treasures. Don't let anyone deceive you. Please don't let the deceiver deceive you. Know what he's up to. Tony Campolo wrote this book, and he wrote in it at the introduction, when I was a boy in Philadelphia, October 30th had special significance. The night before Halloween was designated as Mischief Night. Other people did other things, but he said, one year my best friend and I devised what we thought was a brilliant and creative plan for mischief. We decided to break into the basement of the local Five and Dime. We didn't plan to rob the place. Sunday school boys would never do that. Instead, we planned to do something that, as far as the owner of the store was concerned, would have been far worse. Our plan was to get into the Five and Dime store and change the price tags on everything. We imagined what it would be like the next morning when people came into the store and discovered that radios were a quarter and bobby pins were $5 each. With diabolical glee, we wondered what it would be like in the store when nobody could figure out what the prices of things really should be. And that's why he named the book, Who Switched the Price Tags? And he says this, sometimes I think Satan has played the same kind of trick on all of us. Sometimes I think that we have been broken into and changed the price tags on everything. Too often under the influence of this malicious ploy, we treat what deserves to be treated with loving care as though it were of little worth. On the other hand, we find ourselves tempted to make great sacrifices for that which in the long run has no lasting value and delivers little gratification. Sometimes I think one of the worst consequences of being fallen creatures is our failure to understand what really is important in life. I hope you know what Satan's up to in this world. And I hope you see what is of real value. And I hope as you grow older, your needs change and your priorities are reoriented so that you treasure people more than things, and family more than stuff, and memories more than money, and church more than world, and the Lord more than anything. And at the end of my life, maybe the doctor's medicines won't work, and I can't taste my food, and my pleasures are all but gone, and I can't even get warm. And on that day, one will sustain me, and it won't be a thing. one I will lean on, and He will meet my needs. And where I will go, it will be His to decide, because I will trust Him in that moment as all the ones before, and it is the Lord. And as the old spiritual says and keeps repeating, when I come to die, oh, when I come to die, when I come to die, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have the world. Just give me Jesus. Don't wait till you're old. Don't wait until you're ready to die. Know the truth today. Reorient things in your life today, because what matters today may not matter tomorrow. It will not last. Go after what is real and true and eternal. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus told the listeners not to worry about food or drink or clothes, and He follows it with this line that probably you know, maybe you don't. Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all those other things will be taken care of. They'll be given to you as well. So start reordering your life. Start rethinking what matters, what is important, because whether you believe it or not today, it will change. In those last moments, when you look over your whole life, before that last breath of yours, it is very possible that you will think of all the things you've chased after and say in the moment, what did it matter? And you will know, if not in that breath, in the next one in eternity, what really matters. It is the Lord, and it is His kingdom, and it is His righteousness, and it is His grace. But rethink it now, while you're young, while you're growing old. Learn what is valuable and give your life to the Lord. Let Him be your top priority today and always. And make sure you don't make a stupid mistake of exchanging the soul for your world, because your world will not last. Only your soul you'll take with you. And there is one thing that matters for your soul, and it is Jesus. And I hope you'll keep saying it today. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have the whole world. Just give me Jesus. Let's stand and sing. Come if you need to.